Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for joining me. Today I have a recovery session for you guys. I just got a light jog in. It's my Sunday today, so it's a recovery day. I'm gonna sit in the ice bath. I'm gonna do my compression machine, massage gun, etc. But I wanted to show you what a post-workout stretching and foam rolling routine looks like for me. So a lot of the foam rolling that I do now is actually stuff that we do pre-game, but I actually like to do it after workouts, after training, after game as well, just because it's helpful for making sure that my muscles stay loose and ready to go. So here we go, let's jump into it. I'll make sure the entire workout, so to speak, or recovery routine is down in the description box below. Feel free to check that out. Make sure to like the video, and I'll see you guys in a minute. Alright, so each one of these is going to be 1 minute. We're going to start with the upper back, move into the lower back, and then into the lower body. Most of these are going to be lower body foam rolls before we get into the stretching, just because that's kind of the part that I use most, obviously, as a soccer player. So here we go. Let's start with the upper back. If you want more foam rolling in your upper back and you want to feel it more, feel free to extend your hands above your head and get those lats on either side. This is really nice for opening up that upper back. Now in the lower back, make sure, and this is kind of true over the course of the entire workout that we do, make sure that if you feel a spot that's really tight, go ahead and sit on it and try to get really deep belly breaths. So big in, big out as you sit on that tough point until you feel it it'll almost like pulse a little bit and then release itself. So this might take a couple minutes if you have to, but feel free to pause the video and sit on those trouble points, because that will really, really help open up the muscles wherever those knots are in your legs or back. Here we go, lower back. And feel free to get into the top of your glutes as well, but we'll get those in just a minute. Big breathing as well, super, super important to keep the breath going. Don't want to hold your breath at all. This is all about loosening up the muscles, making sure that you feel good. right side glute. So I'll show you guys a few different iterations of this. So we'll start leg down here bent. This is kind of the easy one, leg extended like that. You can go in here to get a little more stretch, or this one, kind of an more advanced foam rolling. That's if you're a little more flexible. That's the one that I do, but that's just because I've been foam rolling for a long time. A big key here, I'll move this way just so you guys can see. If my leg's up this way or on the ground, either way, but this really makes it obvious. If I'm rolling my spine curved this way instead of that way, this way, you're shortening that muscle, and so it's not as much, so I can do this all day. But if I do that and rotate my pelvis this way, it really forces that muscle to stretch and to get rolled out. So so make sure that you're opening up your lower back, extending, pulling up through the top of your head, and then into that one. Here we go, 1 minute on the right side. And kind of play around with it. So if there's spots that you barely feel at all, move on from there, because it's obviously great to get those spots as well, but if they're already feeling really good, loose and open, then don't worry about it. Get to those trouble spots and really work through those trouble spots. So right now I'm having trouble spots like right on the outside of my hip, right below the top of my iliac crest. So I'll work on that spot today. But just kind of play around with it. Move on the foam roller or on the ball. That's actually something that I want to make sure you guys understand as well. So those of you who don't have a foam roller, no problem, just use a soccer ball. If you want, you can pump it up a little more than you would like to play with it. So just get really, really hard soccer ball and then use the ball like I'm doing right now. And it has the same effect. We actually used to do that when we were kids. Oh. All right, same thing. Other side. So again, make sure you're not slouched like this. You're opening up, so that way you cause that hip rotation and that stretch in that deep hip muscle. So I'll go left side. Next one, we're gonna go right hamstring. So I'd say if you were to kind of cut right here, that's the area underneath is where you want to rotate to. So we'll get to the IT bands, we'll get to the groin, but stay kind of in that middle hamstring area. So something for here, again, a couple different iterations. You got bent leg, and that's just kind of moving with your butt sliding on the ground. So that's, and again, I'm not slouching here because that makes it really easy. I can do that all day, but I want to extend here. And then if you really want to push, flex here, extend really hard as if you're gonna go into a hamstring stretch, and then start to move. Okay, so again, extension of the leg, rotation up, and then move. And that'll cause almost like you're gonna go into a hamstring stretch. Here we go. And again, play around with it. So whatever feels tough to you, kind of embrace the suck, as they say, and find those trouble spots. side. Here we go. Next one, we're gonna do ITBs or IT bands. So this one, plug this phone in quick. There we go. All right, so this one, we're gonna be on, again, IT band runs up and down on the side, across here, and we're gonna run, make sure that leg is extended. Again, easier if you're like this, bent leg, but really see if you can extend. Point that toe forward and get all the way up to the top of where your hip bone is, right underneath that, and then all the way back down to the bottom of your knee. Let me get upright for you guys. So, tightness in your ITB is often linked to knee issues later in life, so this one's really, really important to get. If you want to spend 2 minutes on this one, be my guest. It's it's probably the tightest muscle on my body just because we do a lot of lateral training and a lot of training, obviously like pushing the ball to the side and a lot of agility work. So that's something that I'm working on big time because it's super important to make sure that that's loose so that I'm not getting issues in my knee and compromising my knee if in case I get into some sort of collision. I don't have to really worry about it having problems. So here we go, ITBs. Let's start the timer. Ready, set, go. Next one, other side. Same thing. It's over here. Ready, set, go. Feel free to pause the video anytime you want, take some water, or take a rest. I know some of this stuff can be kind of intense. The foam rolling, I don't think you need to warm up. I've never really had to warm up for foam rolling, but I am gonna do this for the sake of this video because I do both foam rolling and stretching after training, so it's more realistic that way. That's it for the ITBs. Okay, next one, we're gonna do quads. So this one is also, there's a couple different iterations. I'll go this way and do my left first just so you guys can see. So there's straight leg again, making sure that you're pulling pelvis in this time, so it's the other direction. And up like this. Leg on the ground if you want easier one. If you want a really tough one, pull up. So you're pulling up through the pelvis this way, and then you're flexing your hamstring, excuse me. Pulling your hamstring up like this. So it's a really, really intense, it's like if you're doing a kind of like one of these stretches and bringing it back. So it really, really gets into the quad and the hip flexor. Here we go, 1 minute. Boom. Tight spot. There it is. All right, same thing. Other side. Ready, set, go. Next one we're gonna hop into is calves and Achilles tendon. So I kind of do them both together. If you want to do them separately, feel free to. But this one, again, flex your toe forward and then get both of those muscle groups in. Here we go. Ready and start. Make sure you get the back of the knee too on this one. So work your way from the top, or the bottom of the knee, I guess, the top of the tibia, fibula, and then into the calf. Into the Achilles. Straight into the next one. Ready, go. All right, friends, that is it for the foam rolling portion of this little recovery session. Thank you so much for joining me for that. If you want to add any more body parts, if you want to really focus on the groin, do that. If you want to get like shoulder or more lat, feel free to do that as well. This is just the kind of the standard one that I get into. Now let's get into some stretching. I'm gonna set the stopwatch going and we're just gonna run straight through these stretches. So we're gonna go start with quads on the ground. Okay, I'll actually move the other direction so I can see the timer. Ready, set, and a minute for each one, okay? So if you need to pause the video, feel free to do that, but let's start now. Go on the side, and up like this, and pushing that hip forward. So again, we're doing a minute of each one. Ten seconds and then we switch. And switch sides. Again, try to make sure your pelvis is aligned and you're pushing that hip forward so that you feel it in the top of your quad and into the hip flexor. We'll go through each set back to back, and then we'll take a break in between each exercise or each stretching motion. Done with that one, perfect. Cool, all right, straight into our next one, which is going to be excuse me, something in my eye, is going to be a hip flexor stretch. So we're in here, or I'll actually go this way, show you guys. Okay, so starting position kind of somewhere in here. We're gonna move forward without compromising the arch in the lower back. Make sense? So we're here, pull up through the hip, so see how I'll do this. So up through the hip, you pull it forward, and then continue until I can't go any further without arching my back. Make sense? Here we go. So we'll go both sides. I'll show you sideways, both ways, so you can see. 1 minute each. Ready, and go. And feel free to hold kind of right here on that lower ab muscle, just to know that you're engaging that core, so that you really get that stretch in the hip flexor. Really, really important. Make sure you're tall up through the top of your head. Good posture. Pull that hip forward. This one's difficult, especially if you do it right. Perfect, other way. Same again, pull up, move forward to that point. There it is, and stand up tall. Woo. Nice. 15 to go. And done. Nice work. Oh yeah. Okay, next one we're just gonna do a straight groin stretch. This one we're gonna make sure so both feet are out, right angles, back here, and then push back. Make sure your back isn't arched one way or the other. Make sure it's really flat, and then you push backwards. Keep your toes pointed out. Okay, so we're gonna go for a minute. Ready, go. This one should be getting both groins. Feel free to go wider if you want, or deeper backwards into that stretch. Big breaths, make sure you're breathing. And done, well done. Okay, now we're gonna go into a runner stretch. So we're gonna start here, make sure your hips are square. We're gonna go stand up and lean forward with a flat back as far as you can go. And then with the flat back all the way through the lower spine, and then arch forward and grab, okay? So make sure you're getting that stretch through the back of the hamstring, not just your upper back. Here we go. You might feel this in your calf too if you're really pushing. Switch, same idea, up straight, and then rotate down. And done, well done. Okay, next one, we're gonna go into some hip. We're gonna do the pigeon stretch, which I really enjoy. Try to get the bottom part of your leg as perpendicular to your upper body as possible, depending on how flexible you are. And then sit down into it. If you can only go here and then stand here, that's fine, but just sink in as best you can without feeling super uncomfortable. Obviously you want a little push, but other than that, just do it at your own pace. Here we go. make sure you're getting big, deep breaths. See if you can get a big breath and sink a little bit deeper into that stretch, especially with the hip one, the deep hip ones. And switch straight into the next one, other side. And we're done. Well done, guys. Okay, so last one. Again, this is just gonna be really basic stretching routine. We're gonna do the calf muscles, so I'm just gonna be down in kind of like a downward facing dog almost. Just like this, arms across. Make sure, again, try to get that V shape as best you can. Obviously, my hamstrings are pretty tight still, so it's just kind of a genetic thing. But make sure, try to get your heel on the ground and then just flip your other foot over at the top. Here we go. The most important thing on this one though is that you're not bending here. So you're keeping it straight as best you can. And switch. Almost there, guys. And done. Well done, guys. Alright guys, thank you so much for joining me for this foam rolling and stretching routine. Really enjoyed it. I feel great. It's a fantastic way to start my Sunday morning. And make sure to subscribe to the channel and drop a comment if you guys want any more types of foam rolling or stretching routines. I'm happy to provide those for you guys. And as always, be awesome. Take care, guys. See you guys in the next video.